join us in welcoming Mayor Paul Esser.
Sun Prairie is at a defining moment of time. The changes we make, the decisions we make today are going to affect the future for years to come. And this is our opportunity to have real influence, to change the future, to create the future that we want to have, and to leave something, a legacy for those who are going to follow. Over the next 25 years, this community, the demographics of this community, the makeup of who lives here is going to change dramatically. This city will become more racially and culturally diverse than it ever has been before. And while that's exciting, we have to ask ourselves, are we ready? Will we embrace those changes and create a community where everybody is welcomed and valued? Or are we going to just ignore those changes and let problems develop? My name is Paul Esser. I'm the mayor of the city of Sun Prairie, and I have been for the last 10 years. And over those 10 years, my number one priority has been the recognition and celebration of the diversity that is in this community while helping this community prepare for the demographic future, the demographic changes that are coming. I want to talk to you about those changes this evening so that you have the facts. And then I'm going to make my case for why we should embrace those changes. This evening, I invite you to join me as we explore the profound changes that are going to come to Sun Prairie over the next 20 years. Changes that a generation ago probably were unimaginable. But I need to warn you, Sun Prairie, by the year 2050, will be a different community, having been remade by these demographic shifts. So let's begin our exploration with some insights from the U.S. Census Bureau. The U.S. Census Bureau The U.S. Census Bureau projects that by the year 2050, white people will be less than half the population of the United States. And over that same period of time, the Asian, Black, and Hispanic population will have steady increases, remaking the demographic landscape of this country. And those changes are not only going to occur nationwide, they're also going to occur right here in Sun Prairie. There are three reasons why the white people will decline in number and all the other racial ethnic groups will increase. The first one is birth rate, which is defined as total reproductive fertility rate, total fertility rate. And that is the average number of children that a woman will have over her childbearing years of ages 15 to 45. Black and Hispanic populations have a higher birth rate than the whites, and the Asian population has the lowest birth rate of all. The second factor is mortality, deaths. And when we talk about deaths among white people, we need to talk about the baby boomers. This is the enormous number of white babies that were born between 1946 and 1964. Over the next 25 years, the white people will have a much higher death rate than the other racial groups as these baby boomers pass away. And the third reason why we're seeing this change in population is due to immigration. In 1965, the United States passed the Immigration and Naturalization Act, which transformed the immigration system in the United States by establishing new standards. And those standards opened the doors to immigration from Asia, Africa, and Latin America, leading to a significant increase in immigration from those regions. Over that same period of time, white immigration remained low. White immigration remained low. So when we look at those three factors, birth rate, death rate, and immigration, we see two significant trends developing over the next 25 years. The first one is that for the white people who have a low birth rate, high death rate, and little immigration, we see a decline in population. For the other racial groups will be increasing in numbers as they have a high birth rate, except for the Asians, a low death rate because it's a younger population, and strong immigration numbers. We put all of that together. The U.S. Census Bureau says to us by 2050, and possibly sooner, the United States, the white people in the United States will be half of the population. And those are the facts. So you could argue that. You might say, well, 2050 is a way off, and maybe there'll be some shifts, some trends. Maybe birth rate or immigration will change, and that'll change these numbers. But we have a long, clear history of trends. And the trends there could be slight fluctuations, but no reason to think there will be any drastic differences. So that's not going to happen. That we need to ask ourselves is, what do those facts tell us about what Sun will look like in the year 2050? So I would like to share, I'm a longtime community member and political leader, and I would like to share with you my perception of what those facts mean, and in fact, what Sun Prairie will look like in 2050, and the trends of integration that we'll see over 25 years. So I would like to paint a picture, give you a vision of what I think that's going to look like. So first of all, as the baby boomers retire, they're going to be replaced by members of other racial and ethnic groups, making the workforce more diverse. The second thing is that as immigration remains strong, which it's likely to do, there will be an increasing number of children of diversity in the Sun Prairie schools. Our neighborhoods are going to become more diverse as the whites move out and they're replaced by members of other racial groups. And as we have all racial groups living and working side by side in Sun Prairie, the race which has divided us in the past, the racial history, is going to break down and fade away. And finally, as we have all racial groups interacting in the city, interracial marriage, which is already on the rise, is going to increase still faster. So as these steps of integration naturally unfold over the next 25 years, I believe that we're going to see greater acceptance and unity determining the demographic changes for this community, causing a new source of support in the community. I have three illustrations for you of how integration could occur in Sun Prairie over the next quarter of a century. The first one First one is, I'm getting ahead of myself. So so the first illustration of how integration could occur in some prairie comes from Professor Igley and Professor Carley, who tell us that discrimination, prejudice towards groups comes as a result, stems from the mismatch of stereotypes towards a group and stereotypes of a particular social role. So there was a time in the United States when women were not welcomed in the professional and managerial workforce because it was felt that they were not strong enough and assertive enough. And furthermore, women were viewed as stereotyped as caregivers best suited to maintain homes and families. Or have come required in the professional workforce are team building and communication, skills that women possess. And as women have had the opportunity to move into the professional workforce, they have succeeded at those positions and are now well accepted in those areas. And there's one thing more I need to tell you about the boomers. This is my 1951 kindergarten class at Frank Alice Elementary School on the east side of Madison. If I showed you my third grade class photo, fifth grade class photo, eighth grade class photo, or my high school graduation photo from Monona Grove High School in 1964, you would see the same level of diversity. None. Us baby boomers grew up in a time where this discussion of demographic change was unimaginable. Now, we're being told by 2050, we're going to be a minority, and we don't like that. So, I'm saying to you on the behalf of the baby boomers is, if you think we're giving up this community, control of this community without a fight, you're wrong. If you want to lead, you're going to need to push us off the stage and grab the reins of power. The future belongs to those who are bold and take it, and that is my challenge to you this evening. The changes that are coming, you need to start preparing now for those changes that are coming. Over the next 25 years, you need to be front and center preparing for that and guiding those changes. And I'm excited about the changes that are going to come to Sun Prairie in the United States. When I was born in 1946, America was 90% white. By 2050, it's going to be less than 50%. That is a stunning change in essentially my lifetime. When I was growing up, there was no conversation about demographic change. Now it's reality, and that's why I wanted to speak about it this evening. So, what are we going to do about this? Well, let's be honest. The rising generation needs to take control of that change and make it work for everybody. And that's the theme of this evening, and the people that are going to be that, making that change happen and making that control are in the audience this evening. It's you. So my question then to you would be, what are you going to do about it? You're not prepared to answer that, so I'll help you with an answer for that. I'll provide it. So you need to stand up, you need to speak up, and you need to take control. Sun Prairie has just gone through its spring elections, and at the moment when we in this community are more diverse than ever, representation on the Sun Prairie School Board and the Sun Prairie City Council has declined. How can that be? That cannot continue. You can't let that continue. You need to take control, and you need to speak up and say, no more. That can't continue. You need to find those candidates, you need to support those candidates, and you need to get those people elected on the school board and city council so that you're getting what you want out of this. If you're here this evening and you are a high school student, by 2050, you'll be about 40 years old, and it'll be your turn to take control of this community. You need to begin preparing for that now. And if you're in the audience this evening, if you're a high school student in this audience this evening, you need to be the one to stand up and take ownership of this change and make it happen for you. By 2050, you will be raising children possibly in this community. Your children will be growing up in the community that you shaped. What's that community going to be like? Change is coming. We can't ignore it. Will be more diverse than ever in the next years ahead, and we can't let that divide us. We need to take control. For too long, white voices have led, and the others have had to follow. That system's breaking down. Change is here. That change is coming, and that change is not asking for permission. It's coming hard, and it's coming fast. The question for us is, are we going to rise up and meet that change and adapt it for our use, or are we going to let it just pass on by and we'll stand there and watch it? I say we lead. I say we take control of the future and make it work for us. And to everybody in this audience this evening, I say, start now, get involved, speak up, and step into leadership. The future of Sun Prairie is going to be shaped by those who are ready to lead. Be one of those leaders. Thank you. Thank you.